Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we will be big box store plant shopping at the Lowe's off of Highway 121 off of Custer Road in McKinney, Texas. It is a beautiful Saturday afternoon when I filmed this, and the sun is out. It is a gorgeous day to just be looking at plants. As always, please make sure you are hitting that like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds if you want to directly connect with me. And if you like 1 hour plant shopping videos daily, please subscribe to my channel with the notification bell on. That way you're constantly informed when I do my live premiere chats, which is usually at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. But plant foldies, and for those that are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. You can see that this Lowe's has just so many beautiful plants. I like to pan over here and show you guys all of the beautiful mandevilla flowers. I've been here before, but more so when it was actually cloudy. So on a sunny day, you can just see how vibrant and beautiful the colors are on mandevilla flowers. Now, these are ones that you will see typically at big box stores around this time of the year. They start to show up during the spring, but definitely in the summertime, you'll see all of these beautiful flowers. Now with mandevilla flowers, you get more blooms when they are put in more sunlight. So if you give them full sun, you will get beautiful blooms like this. Now they are self-cleaning, meaning that these blooms do just fall off. But if you want to promote more blooms, as the blooms start to die off on mandevilla flowers, I would recommend deadheading them, which is basically cutting off the flowers or the dead flowers or the flowers that are about to just die. So you can see I love white blooms and pink blooms. I just feel like white flowers are so elegant. There's just a beautiful elegance about white flowers. Also these red ones. Honestly, all of the mandevilla blooms that we've seen so far, the pink ones, the white ones, and the red ones are stunning. You can find these usually at any big box store, but at this location, Lowe's off of Custer Road in McKinney, Texas, this is just a beautiful place to go find them. And you can see right here, we've got hanging baskets of lantana for $19.98. And then we've got some summer vibes. So these are the vibrant, beautiful Croton Petras. Now these are for $16.98. Now we talk about Croton Petras, or at least I talk about them on almost all my plant shopping videos. They are slightly a finicky plant if you try to grow them indoors, but as an outdoor plant in full sun, they do fabulous. They'll perform very well. They're less finicky. Now I know that when grown indoors, however, they do require a lot of light. And if you don't provide that lighting condition for the Croton Petra, it will definitely drop its leaves. It's similar to a ficus plant in terms of just the care. It does like consistency more so indoors. Now, as I walk over into this Lowe's, you can see that the outdoor section is super full. You can see right over here, they've got mixed containers. This one has a mixed container of some Tradescantia. I like that white striping that we have over here. And then we have this succulent type ground cover. This is a Sun Sparkler Cherry Tart. This is a pretty cool looking plant. It almost looks like an alternatera plant, but that is more of a succulent plant right here. And then you can see that they have so many coral bell plants available. I did a feature of that not too long ago. You know, I visit a lot of these big box stores, and typically they're the same big box stores that I frequent. You know, I do these 1 hour plant shopping videos, which means that I'm pretty much in a big box store or a local plant nursery on a daily basis. It's become my daily plant routine. Right after I get off work, I'll either go plant shopping, or on my days off, my weekend off, I'll try to film as much content for you guys so I can stay consistent. I do appreciate all of our plant foldies that continue to tune in to all of my plant shopping videos, but this is one of my favorite Lowe's to go to because they have such great organization on their plants. Lowe's in general has really good organization. I mean, you can see here, this is a massive outdoor section. Right over here, we've got a bunch of potato vines. And what I like about potato vines is they are very vigorous growers. They grow very fast, and they can tolerate full sun and drought conditions. Now, I am based out in North Dallas, and typically our summers are extremely hot. It's already getting close to 100 degrees. So drought tolerant plants is what I need in order to be able to grow some of my outdoor plants successfully. You can see here though, for $4.98, this is a beautiful Tradescanthia Nanook. Love pink plants. And you know, Tradescanthia Nanook, they used to be a very uncommon Tradescanthia. I remember when a cutting for a Tradescanthia Nanook was like $30 about 4 years ago. Now they're readily available in a big box store. Like, I really love the look of this. I love the purple undersides of the leaves. And then we also have this Tradescanthia Sabrina. That is also for $4.98. Now, it's interesting that they have these Tradescanthias outside. They can be grown as a ground cover, or they can be in a container. Same thing with coral bells. Now, this one is for $6.98. Notice how beautiful that veining is on this particular plant. Now, this plant, I thought about being able to grow this indoors, but long term it just wouldn't do well. Now, Tradescanthia can be grown indoors. Now, this is another plant that I like. I love neon color plants. Now, this one is for $4.98. This is golden dewdrops. Now, this is another plant that takes full sun, and I just love that yellow and neon color on these leaves. You know, I have been looking at a lot of these outdoor plants to be able to grow them indoors. You know, I talk about plants that are more unconventional house plants. I would say that this cordyline Hawaiian tea plant, for instance, I would love to be able to grow this indoors, but you know, due to some of my experiences with it, growing them indoors, they're just very much spider mite prone. You know, there's just certain plants that really refuse to grow well indoors. Cordyline is one of them, although I wish I'd be able to grow them because it has such beautiful red dark foliage. And then you can see this massive sea of Boston fern and ferns in general. I noticed that a lot of Boston fern typically appear as well in the late spring, early summer. A lot of people will grow them as annuals in their patios, so you can have more of like a tropical vibe. And you can see that there are a bunch of Costa Farms exotic angel hanging baskets as well in this outdoor section. Here we have, let's take a look. Oh, it's everybody's favorite. This is a Hedera helix, or the Hedera helix, which is also known as the English ivy. This is the gold dust Hedera helix. Now, for those that are new to my channel, I mispronounce Hedera helix as Hedera helix, because for the longest time when I was doing my initial plant shopping videos, I was really mispronouncing it and I didn't realize it. It kind of stuck, so it is a plant foldy inside joke. I know all of you guys like to count how many times I say Hedera helix. Okay, I will really stop with that now because I know that some people aren't a fan of it, but I am a fan of this gold dust English ivy. Look at that. It looks like there's some speckling. Part of me also makes it look like it is spider mite infested, those specklings. But again, with English ivy, it is a challenging plant to grow indoors. I would suggest growing that hanging basket outdoors in a shaded area, and it will just do fine. Now, here we have a Hoya hanging basket. This one is a Hoya Wyetii, and you can see that some of the leaves have started to be a little bit more on like a reddish tint color. That is signs of sun stressing, which means that it's just receiving a lot more light than it's used to, but it has also given beautiful coloration as well. It's not really hurting the plant. Now, with Hoyas, they really do love bright indirect light. They have beautiful blooms. A lot of people grow Hoyas for the blooms. I have yet to grow a Hoya that will actually produce blooms for me, but for $20.84, this is a full hanging basket of Hoya Wyetii. Now, for those that love Hoyas, I think people call them Hoya heads. Hopefully you like that. You know, it is a little bit challenging to find some Hoyas at big box stores. And then you can see here, we've just got more hanging baskets. Now, here is another example of a beautiful trailing plant. This is a strawberry begonia. And you can see there are a bunch of little babies that have just been out. And you can see that it has been sun stressed. So you can see that it's got more of a yellowish tint to it. It has just received a little bit more light than it needs, so it's kind of bleaching it out. So I mean, a little sun stressing is great, but sometimes if you give it a little too much light, it will bleach out the plant to where it doesn't look healthy. Now over here, we've got some more Boston fern. You know, ferns, I'm not really a big fan of ferns. You know, there's some people that really like ferns. The reason why I don't really like ferns is because it is a bit of a challenge to grow ferns long term for me, because I know that I don't really water my plants as often as I need to. Now here we have another cordyline plant. Now this one has more of a green tone to it with some subtle purple borders or pink borders. I really like that a lot. You know, cordyline plants, there's quite a bit of different types of cordyline plants. It is unfortunate that there's not as many readily available at a big box store or even at local plant nurseries. But you can see here, this one is for $19.98 as well. And then you can see we've got the darker foliage plant right there. We've also got some Fatsa japonica right over here. I really like that. It's also known as a Japanese Aralia. Now this plant can be grown as a perennial in my grow zone, which is 8B. It is a plant that can tolerate even growing back next year. I do like that as well. It is a plant that you can grow indoors. And then you can see right here, Caladiums. So it is the season of Caladiums. Caladiums are also perennial plants. And for those that don't know what perennial means, perennial means that you can grow this plant out in a landscape depending on your grow zone, and it comes back year after year. It'll grow during the spring, summer, and fall, die off in the winter, and come back in either late spring or early summer. Now with Caladiums, these grow from bulbs, and Caladium bulbs typically don't start to sprout back up until the weather gets a little bit warmer. It needs warmer soil. You can see this is one of my favorite Caladiums. Actually, Caladiums in general attract me because I love pink plants. Look at how stunning that pink is. And a lot of times Caladiums have more of a translucent texture to the leaves. Sometimes you can just see through them, and this is just really a stunning plant. I love that. I actually have that Caladium variety, that pink one. You know, I collect pink plants, and I can agree that a lot of you guys also like pink plants. So if you are a pink plant lover, please leave that in the comments. And I always ask all of our viewers, especially the plant foldies, I really want to see a lot of comments in the comment section. If you made it this far and you haven't hit the like button for my video, please do so. If you enjoy my content, it really does help push my videos out to more plant lovers like yourself. And I really do want to see our plant community grow. Now with Caladiums, notice how this one is in bloom. Now, I've said this before, but whenever you see blooms on a plant that you're growing more so for its leaves and foliage, you really want to cut off the bloom. So with this one, I would cut off that bloom, because then it won't, the plant won't put too much energy into producing the bloom, but actually focus its energy to actually grow more leaves. Because if you leave blooms, even on plants like Aglaonema or any type of philodendron, you will stunt the growth. But as I pan away here is just a sea of different types of plants. Here is one of my favorites. You already know, if you've been watching my videos for at least the past 2 months, for $4.98, we have another beautiful Coleus plant. Now, Coleus plants, I have so many different varieties. I absolutely love Coleus plants. It's one of those plants that it's just very versatile in the way you can grow them. You can grow them indoors, outdoors, in containers, in a landscape, and they just come in so many different varieties. You can also harvest seeds from them and be able to grow them. And sometimes you might actually get a hybrid, depending on whether your Coleus cross-pollinate with other Coleus plants. Coleus plants, their color and their leaves actually are influenced with the amount of light it receives. So if you give it better light, it will give you better coloration. Now, as far as coloration, you can see here for $4.98, beautiful Tradescanthia Nanook. So I've already purchased about 3 Tradescanthia Nanook. I feel like I can't get enough of Tradescanthia Nanook, and I've bought them from this particular Lowe's because for some reason they stay full, and you can see there's a piece of Tradescanthia Nanook that fell off. So what I did is I literally just push that into the ground and into the soil so it will propagate itself. It is a very easy to propagate plant. You can take cuttings, stick it in water, and about a week later it will root. The way you want to keep this plant full and bushy is by cutting it back, because Tradescantia are notorious for getting leggy. The Nanook not so much, because for some reason the leaves are a little bit more sturdy, but for like the Tradescantia Zebrina, the purple burgundy one, that one tends to get leggy very quickly. It's just got very delicate leaves. But you can see here, like these right here, like you can literally take this cutting right here and it will do 2 more offshoots and you can get another free plant with that cutting. And another plant that I really like are these Rodeo Oyster plants. I love pink plants, and this is another one that I bought multiples of. I have 2 of these. I bought them from this particular Lowe's, and this one is for $4.98. Again, it is a gorgeous plant, and what I love about it is the purple underside. So they actually look very similar to the Tradescantia Nanook. I would go on a limb and say that they're very similar, and maybe similar in the genus. And you can see here, this is another Rodeo Oyster plant, but notice how this one has a little bit more green versus the pink. Now again, this is a plant that the variegation or coloration is really impacted by the amount of light it gives. It's given, and you can see here this one's got several of them, so I would assume that this one actually shoots out more pups. I do love the look of this particular plant. This one, as compared to these ones right here, these are the Tradescantia Nanook. Beautiful plants. These plants are marketed as plants that can be grown outdoors as well as indoors. So I've seen these actually offered at Trader Joe's in beautiful ceramic planters. So I would assume that these can grow indoors. I'm currently growing them in 6.5-inch containers outside in full sun, and they're doing just fine for me. They're actually giving me some very beautiful pink colors. And then you can see right over here, this is another Alternanthera for $4.98. So I have the purple variety, and I also have this one as well. Now I understand that this plant is most likely going to be a plant that would grow better long-term outdoors, but I am looking at plants like this that can be grown indoors. You know, when you talk about plants, there is not really a true indoor plant. Every single plant you see that is grown as an indoor house plant has come from the outdoors. So it just really depends on certain plants being able to grow better in indoor conditions. Now, like this Japanese holly fern, for instance, I would actually add this to my plant collection. It's just I am a little bit weary about growing fern in my collection, because I know that I don't really take care of my plants in terms of the watering. I've gotten better at it, but I think it's because I'm always busy. I have a very demanding job, and then also these 1-hour plant shopping videos. You know, on average, it takes about 5 hours for me to produce 1 episode. So a lot of my time is really invested in these plant shopping videos. And so I'm just really thankful, Plant Foldies, that you guys have stuck around with me. Our community is constantly growing. And just know that I strive my very best to give you guys daily plant content, in a sense that I just think that the friendships we've created in the live premiere chats has really attracted a lot of people. I do want to show you all of these beautiful terracotta planters. So when you think about my plant aesthetic, I prefer that terracotta planter versus this. This one has the lip, but I did buy this orchid planter. It's a little bit more shallow, and notice that it has drainage holes on the sides, which gives more aeration. I recently bought a variegated Phalaenopsis orchid, and I repotted it with a bunch of orchid bark. I actually added some lava, some horticulture lava rock, as well as charcoal, which I bought at Green Acres, which is a local plant nursery out in Melissa, Texas. If you haven't already, definitely check out my local plant shopping video at Green Acres. It's one of my favorite places to shop at. And I do want to show you this. So if you want a plant to do very well, get yourself some Super Thrive. That goes a long way. Just a little capful goes a long way with the plants. It is a vitamin B complex for your plants, and it does very well. And this is the orchid grow mix that I use. I use that one, as well as a better grow orchid mix. I mix that orchid bark into some of the soil, and I actually buy the lawn and tree soil mix. at Lowe's. It's a particular one that I use because it's fast draining and you get a bunch for it. And then as I pan around over here, you can see that they've got a bunch of Costa Farms plants, these larger plants. So we've got a Dracaena Massangiana, a Pachira aquatica right over here. Really love the look of Pachira aquatica. All of these braided forms have just started to show up in all of these big box stores. I would love to add a Pachira aquatica into my collection. It is an easy to care for plant, and it's a plant that is said to give you good luck when brought into your home. And then we've got some Dieffenbachia Sublime, or some people will call this Dieffenbachia Sparkle, or that's what Costa Farms calls it. I actually love this particular Dieffenbachia because of the very high contrast in the colors. So we've got some light color and then dark green colors. These ones are for $22.98. Not a bad price at all for an 8-inch planter. And then we also have a Dracaena right here. Really like that a lot. You know, these are all of the large foliage plants from Costa Farms, and it's amazing how Costa Farms actually offers a lot of these plants. Now, plant foldies, which of these plants would you buy? Would you buy that Ficus lyrata or this Dracaena? If you're going to ask me, of all the plants that I've shown you so far, I would recommend either this Dracaena Massangiana, or what they call the cane Dracaena, or the other Dracaena versus all of the plants, because they are easy to care for plants. There are plants that are very low maintenance, and I believe that most low maintenance plants are what we all need to start out with. So we're going to go ahead and walk into this Lowe. So this is a Lowe's that I frequently go to because they constantly restock their plants, and if they're not restocking their plants, they're keeping their plant merchandising organized and well. They always have nice looking plants here, and you can see that there is just so much light that these plants receive. This is a Lowe's. It's not it doesn't have like a separate greenhouse outdoor section, so it's actually within the store, but you can see this is a full jungle of many different types of plants. Now, Lowe's typically has mostly Costa Farms plants, but I'm not complaining because Costa Farms is one of the premier big box store plant shopping plant providers, I would say. And then you can see here, I am looking for an Epipremnum alplicimum silver stripe Pothos. Beautiful Pothos right over here. This is a trending tropical plant by Costa Farms for $19.98. I want one of these. I think it's a gorgeous plant. I think it's a plant that is an easy to care for plant, and I am all about that. Anything that's Epipremnum or Epipremnum aria, which are the Pothos plants, I would be all about. Now, this is a common philodendron, and this is called a philodendron Birkin. Now, you can notice that this one is for $15.98, but if you compare the Lowe's price versus the price at Walmart is actually for $14.98. So this is the reason why you want to go ahead and do lots of plant window shopping. So if you are constantly watching my videos, you'll get some good plant pricing. It is a little bit funny on my end that I am able to identify prices, and I think it's because I literally am in a big box store looking at plants every day. Now, this one right here is a Raven's Easy plant. This one is for $19.98. I would recommend this plant for any beginners. Raven's Easy or ZZ plants in general, they like to stay more so on the drier side, and they prefer to be in lower light conditions, or at least can tolerate that. You can see over here, we've got some beautiful Kokedama bromeliads right here. Now, I have started to collect bromeliads. I have one, but there are a couple more that I'm eventually going to add to my plant collection. I've been able to get some more plants organized, and then you can see here, this is another one that I think is a beautiful plant here. This is another one that I typically see at Lowe's. It's another Costa Farms Exotic Angels plant. I don't quite have the thing. This is a Peperomia serpens. So this is another plant that I would think would be easy to propagate from cuttings, maybe water propagation. I've talked a lot about water propagation or propagation in general, just because I am a firm believer that if you want to save money on plants, you can always just get more plants through plant propagation. You can share cuttings with friends. You can do trades with people. sometimes I just like to share cuttings and give them out to other people. So there's a lot, but this one is another Hydra Helix, or what you call a Hedera Helix. This one is the surprise ivy, and I am actually surprised because if you notice here, the texture of the leaves are a little bit more crinkly, but it has more of a natural shine to it. Like literally the texture of the leaf, it doesn't feel slippery or oily. It just has a natural shine. Now I was super tempted, as in I almost just picked this up and say, you know, to hell with it. I'm gonna go ahead and just try myself to try to grow this English ivy. This is my first time ever seeing a surprise English ivy. I'm actually curious if Costa Farms on their Instagram can feature the list of different types of ivies they offer. This one is one that I think is a very unique looking one. It's one that I would definitely grow. I did end up getting a Hedera Helix from Callaway's. It was like 50% off. So I decided that I am just going to grow my English ivy outdoors, and if when winter comes, we'll see what I could do in terms of keeping it alive indoors. Now, this one is an Epipremnum Arium Pearls and Jade Pothos. This one is for $20.84 in a hanging basket by Costa Farms again. You can see that this one is a Pearls and Jade because it's got a little bit more of that speckling to it versus the Enjoy. Now, all Pothos plants, I love them. They're very easy to take care of. Now, the Pearls and Jade, the Enjoy, the ones that are more highly variegated are a little bit more slower in their growth. And then you can see here, this is just another Hydra Helix, or this Hedera Helix. This one is just called an ivy. This one is also for $20.84 in a Costa Farms hanging basket. It's got some nice full green leaves. Really like that a lot. And then you can see that this is the overage of all of the plants that they have here. So they've got a mixture of urban jungle plants and live trends plants. This one is just a regular coffee plant for $13.98. Really like the look of this. You know, urban jungle typically has some really cost-effective plant pricing. I will say urban jungle hanging baskets are the cheapest out of all the hanging baskets you could find. For a 6-inch hanging basket from urban jungle, it's typically like $12.99 at a grocery store. I've seen them at Kroger. I've seen them at other grocery stores offered. And you can see here, this is a beautiful crate bromelia for $26.98. Look at how beautiful that yellow foliage is there, or the bloom. Really like the look of bromeliads, and I didn't realize that there are so many varieties of bromeliads. You know, when I first started doing plant shopping videos, I was always wondering why there were so many bromeliads available. What was the allure of it? But you know, they're just readily easy to care for plants. And you know, if you're going to talk about like a plant fertilizer, I would recommend Osmocote Plus. This one is a slow release fertilizer that you can mix into your soil for your plants, or you can just put them on the surface if you like to top water your soil, your actual plant. And then as you can see here, lots of Dracaena. We've got Raven ZZs. We've got some bird's nest fern, and all of this greenery. There's just a level of calmness that I get from just looking at plants. And then you can see right over here, this was another plant I saw a couple days ago. It looks like it needs some water. I'm hoping they'll water it, but this one is another beautiful plant that I feel like would be easy to propagate. You know, I look at plants, and you know, plants that are easy to propagate or multiply tend to attract me a little bit more so, just because I like the process of propagation. You can see right over here, this is a purple pleasure plant. And this one is a collector's plant, for instance. Not really sure why. I don't know if this is just more of an uncommon plant, a rare plant. Now this one is extremely dehydrated, and that's the thing about big box store plant shopping. It is a little disappointing sometimes to see that certain plants just end up declining in their health. You know, a lot of times whenever you go to a big box store, the best time to plant shop is if you get lucky and you see a pallet of boxes and the workers are actually just unloading the plants. That is when the plants are most healthy, because they just literally got shipped from like Costa Farms. But you can see here, beautiful looking Tradescantia. I actually like the look of that. And then all of these Alocasia, Regina, I think that's how you pronounce it, but look at how beautiful that alocasia is. So what I've been told by some of my plant foldies is that this particular alocasia is a little bit more thirsty, so you have to water it a little bit more. But look at how beautiful the undersides of the leaves are. I love that silver, greenish, bluish tone on it. Now, I've actually purchased this alocasia at Kroger grocery store for $16.99, and it ended up not doing very well for me, to the point where almost all the leaves pretty much died and there was nothing left but a pot. But I ended up just watering it a couple of times, and then I recently discovered that there was a new leaf that was pushing out in the soil, so that was super exciting. I ended up just taking that alocasia outside. So for those that have struggled with alocasia, you can take them outside and they typically do better in outdoor conditions. I know that I have a variegated alocasia odora that wasn't doing very well indoors, but then I repotted it and put it outside, and it's already pushing out some beautiful, highly variegated leaves. So that's the thing, plant foldies, whenever you're looking for plants to just kind of rehab or try to just grow again, I would recommend just taking them outside in a shaded area and then just growing them outdoors. They're just easier to take care of. They get a lot of light, and you can water them a little bit more frequently. Their soil dries out a little bit faster as well. Now, when you talk about Dracaena, this is a Dracaena sandriana for $7.98. I do find this a beautiful plant. It is basically a bamboo plant. The thing about it is, I didn't realize that all Dracaenas are not drought tolerant. That one I ended up killing because I didn't water it too often, or more often than I should have. And then this is another Rex begonia here. And you know, Rex begonias again are a little bit more challenging of a plant for me to grow. You have to bottom water them. They really don't like their leaves or their stems or canes to get wet. Otherwise they will rot and just die. But what I love about Rex begonias and what makes me want to grow them is because they have beautiful silver metallic looking foliage. And then you can just see it, there's just tons of beautiful exotic angels, Costa Farms plants. Now this one is another ficus type plant. This is a one that I just would often see. This is a variegated creeping fig for $5.98. And then as I pan away over here, we've just got several different types of hanging baskets from Costa Farms, and in Urban Jungle as well. And you can see more hanging baskets over here. I'm not going to go through every single exotic angel plant just because I know that I show you guys as often, but I am just curious about this purple pleasure plant. Like, does anybody grow it? And if so, what are the care conditions for that? I'm not really sure about the care tips for that. And, you know, I will always be transparent about the plants I'm not aware of. And then you can see right over here, this is another Hedera helix. This one is a Hedera asterisk ivy. It is a beautiful looking plant. I remember finding that particular ivy out in Austin, Texas at a Lowe's over there. And, you know, that's the thing about me. I love traveling, and I love traveling and looking at plants. So it is exciting to be able to just document a lot of my plant shopping on YouTube and just really showing that to you. And I'll tell you that I have been able to really just get in connection with a lot of you guys out there who constantly support my YouTube channel. You know, I just recently did a collaboration video with Janae Simone and also my friend Steven. Both of them are my friends, and they both do plant YouTube channels, and it was just so much fun. So if you haven't already, please make sure you guys are checking out the collab video I did, as well as their YouTube channels. But that's the thing about the plant community. That is something that I've really been immersed in, is just being able to get to know all of our plant foldies. And I love how you guys get on the live premiere chats and look for each other. There are just many of you guys that constantly jump on the live premiere chats. I have to give a big shout out to my Canadian plant foldies. You guys always come out in full force, just like the plants at Lowe's. You know, I see a lot of these urban jungle plants, and truthfully, urban jungle plants are pretty cost effective. Like, this is a beautiful silver band marantha here. This one is also for $13.98. I was able to find one though for a smaller plant of this for $2.99 at Callaway's Nursery, which is a local plant nursery chain out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There's so many Callaway's nurseries that I feature in my YouTube videos. And then you can see here, this is just an Epipremnum aureum Enjoy Pothos. Notice how it has that stark white variegation. And let me just move a couple more plants. So here is another beautiful Alocasia for $13.98. I'm actually tempted to buy this Alocasia because look at that. That has such interesting foliage, and then the texture and also the undersides of the leaves. I love Alocasia. I just wish Alocasias or plants that have beautiful foliage would just be less of a chore to actually take care of. You know, that's the thing that makes some of the plant growing plants a little bit more stressful, is when you have a plant that just requires a little bit more care. But that particular Alocasia, what a beautiful stunner right there. Again, I prefer to grow my Alocasia outdoors. I just feel like growing them outdoors makes it easier for me to grow. Now this Dracaena I just picked up right there, that's a Dracaena White Jewel. That is a very easy plant to take care of. And you can see we've got Sansevieria trifasciata right over there. And then we also have another Dracaena Lemon Surprise. We've got a Ficus elastica Ruby right over here. Beautiful plant. I love that red tint on the leaves. To be able to get that red tint, you want to really give it a lot of bright indirect light. I do grow my Ficus elastica in full sun and outside, and they just size up very quickly when you grow them outdoors. I would say a lot of the indoor plants, like philodendrons, for instance, if you want them to get really large during a growing season, just put them outside in a patio area that's shaded and that gets like morning light, and it will give you a lot of new growth. So growing plants outdoors that are meant to grow indoors, if you just ever want to rehab a plant or just get it to grow a little bit better, grow them outdoors. And I think it's because they get quite a bit of light. Also, they have natural predators to get rid of plant pests, and whenever you water them, the soil dries out a little bit faster because you get wind, you get that that sun. It's just a better environment for the plant. Whenever you take a plant indoors, you're not really giving it the most optimal conditions for a plant, because we have to remember, like these beautiful Phalaenopsis orchids, for instance, that we're looking at, they are coming from an outdoor environment and being grown indoors. Now, I have looked at this particular hanging basket of Black Rabbit's Foot Fern. Beautiful fern, and I will say some people find the roots or that texture of their aerial roots to be a little bit more creepy. Some people say they look like tarantula legs. I mean, it kind of does, but it also gets that rabbit foot texture as well. But needless to say, this is for $20.98. Beautiful plant. And then we've got another Epipremnum aureum Marble Queen Pothos. I've noticed that Costa Farms has been releasing a lot of Marble Queen Pothos, or maybe even Snow Queen Pothos, really depending on the variegation. The more highly variegated it is, the more white it has versus cream will really separate a Marble Queen Pothos from a Snow Queen Pothos. And then you can see just lots of beautiful Phalaenopsis orchids. This is a Peperomia Ginny. I really like the look of that as well. Peperomia plants are more of like a succulent type plant. It is a beautiful plant that I'm into. And then look at how beautiful this pink Syngonium is right there. Love Syngoniums. I actually took a lot of my Syngoniums and did some rehab work. Got rid of some dead leaves, watered them thoroughly, cut them back, repotted some, and a lot of them are going to be growing outside so I can rehab them. What an interesting planter here. So this is a bamboo made planter. This one is by Better Grow Orchids. I really love the look of orange orchids. I feel like orange orchids or orange flowers are not as seen as often, and I do like the look of it. I love Phalaenopsis orchids. Now, I was told that Phalaenopsis orchids are probably the easiest types of orchids to grow when you compare them to all the other varieties, and that's probably the reason why they are commonly seen at big box stores. Now here is another hanging basket of Epipremnum aureum pearls in jade, and I do love the pearls in jade pothos. Now this would be a plant that'd be interesting to grow up a totem pole, because when you grow a pothos plant on a totem pole, a moss pole, a plank, you're giving it its natural growth pattern, because in the wild pothos plants are epiphytes, which means they want to attach to trees, and as they attach to trees they get larger and larger leaves. That pearls in jade pothos with that white variegation, it would just be a beautiful alternative to like maybe a Monstera albo or Monstera Thai constellation, because they'll get leaves as big as that. And then over here we've got another Hydra helix. Costa Farms calls this a classic choice. I like I said, it is one of those things where I think at this point, if you are a plant foldie, I just like to talk about the English ivy. It's one of those plants that I really, really, really wish would love me back, as much as I love talking about it, as much as I love giving it a chance to grow in my environment. I just wish it would grow. And then you can see here, there's just so many Alocasia regina here. I mean, look at that shape of that leaf. What a beautiful looking Alocasia. And we've been seeing a lot of Alocasias coming up at big box stores, but also a lot of variegated Alocasias. I will say variegated Alocasias are probably going to be the trend of 2024 as far as what houseplant is, what most people are collecting. I will say though that Alocasias, even this green version of it, that's just a beautiful Alocasia. Again, if Alocasias were just not as finicky, I'm pretty sure it would be a very popular plant. Now this is a Dienthiflora plant. I can't really pronounce it, but that is another plant that looks more like ground cover, that you would grow outdoors. And that's the thing, that's the reason why I've been looking at particular plants that are meant to be ground cover and grown outdoors, to be grown in a container or even a hanging baskets type of a situation. I really want unconventional plants. So one particular plant I want all of our plant foldies to actually Google search is a Graptophyllum pictum. What a beautiful plant. It's also known as a caricature plant. Definitely check that out. I'm looking to find one. I have yet to find one at a big box store. Now, I want to show you all of these beautiful Phalaenopsis orchids. So Costa Farms is literally the plant mecca of any type of plant. They have a bunch of succulent plants, tropical plants, rare plants, and even Phalaenopsis orchid. Like, look at that beautiful Phalaenopsis orchid. And I am just so curious on how is it possible that we have so many Phalaenopsis orchids available year round. I mean, this is a flowering plant that I see pretty much in the winter, summer, spring, fall. They are always available and they're always in bloom. Now, with these Phalaenopsis orchids, their blooms last for about a month and a half, and then once they lose their blooms, it does take a while for them to rebloom, but if you have the patience to get them to rebloom, they will definitely rebloom. Now, this is another beautiful type of Tredscanthia. It's one that I like. I actually prefer because the leaves are a little bit more fuzzy and velvety, and then this one is actually on clearance. So if you see a plant that has like a marker just kind of like scratched across the serial barcode on a plant in Lowe's, that means it's like 50% off. I was actually tempted to buy this because this was now 50% off of $20.98. But again, when it comes to clearance plants, you have to think sometimes clearance plants are not in the best health. And when a plant is not in the best health, it is a little bit more susceptible to plant pest. Meaning you are risking bringing a plant pest or a hitchhiker into your plant collection. I always say when you're looking for plants, like even looking at this beautiful pink syngonium here, just assume that you're going to have to quarantine your plant. I always recommend taking a neem oil type spray, insecticidal type spray, spraying the tops of the leaves, the bottom of the leaves, the stems of the leaves, the top surface of the soil, and the bottom of the drainage hole, just to make sure that you get rid of as many potential plant pests and just quarantine your plant. That is one way to have some preventative plant pest control. Will that prevent plant pests from ever entering your plant collection? Absolutely not. And that's one thing that I want all of us to really understand when it comes to growing plants is you will always have some type of pest infiltrating your plant collection. it's just part of plant growing, you know. Lupita, who owns the plant shop in Dallas called Peta's Planters, I was watching one of her reels and it really did resonate with me in the fact that why are we stressed about plant pests when we know that in nature plant pests exist, and you know, it's just part of growing plants. And so for me, accepting the fact that I know that there will be a plant pest that I'll discover, as long as we're diligent about finding plant pests before they become a full-blown infestation, then we don't have any problems. And so I have been diligent about spraying my plants at least once a week with my DIY Foldy mist, which I have created. And if you want to know the recipe, I just get a standard spray bottle. I get 2 tablespoons of cold pressed neem oil, 2 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, a drop of dish soap, and that is about it. And now we're going to be local plant shopping at the Callaways off of El Dorado Road in McKinney, Texas. This is one of the older Callaways nurseries. It's actually one of the smaller ones, but I did want to just take a look at some of the Callaways plants here. You can see that this is another Callaways nursery, and notice that it is a little bit smaller, but just because it's smaller doesn't mean it's not gonna have some beautiful plants. It is late afternoon. The sun is a little bit more intense, but you can see there's some beautiful lighting. This one is another Tradescanthia Nanook for $9.99, and notice how I was able to find $4.98 Tradescanthia Nanook at a big box store. So you can compare the pricing at big box store versus local plant nursery. I will say that local plant nurseries are going to have a little bit higher price in their plants, but like looking at this beautiful Monstera Deliciosa for $16.99, it is a gorgeous looking plant, and it's a much healthier looking plant. You notice how there's not really a lot of cosmetic damage to its leaves versus like a big box store. So it just is a balance on which plants you want to get. Now, Callaway's nursery is one of my go-to nurseries at any point, just because they have so many different plants. And what I love about Callaway's nursery is they offer rare plants. Like this one here is a Monstera Thai Constellation for $89.99. That is a little bit pricey considering this same size Monstera Thai Constellation I have been able to find at HEB for $39.98. Now, here is a little tidbit. So I was super surprised. As I was shopping, I was approached by somebody who watches my videos, and I was so thankful to have met Plant Foldy Gloria and her family. They were out shopping at this particular Callaway's nursery. You know, I was really surprised. And the way Gloria approached me was, "Hey, is that you, Richie?" And I was really taken back. I didn't realize that, you know, people would recognize me, and it's always just an interesting phenomenon because I am, you know, faceless. But I did ask her, how did they recognize me? They noticed that I was filming and the ring on my finger. So, you know, Gloria, it was amazing to meet you. Thank you for tuning in and watching my videos daily, and having your family watch my videos. And don't worry, I will definitely get you that Monstera Thai Constellation for your daughter-in-law. I know that it was her birthday, and I know that you guys traveled out to HEB out here in McKinney, Texas, and I was afraid that they were going to run out of Thai Constellation, so I'm definitely going to be able to get you one. Hopefully I will be able to meet you out at North Haven's Garden. So Plant Foldies, especially if you are a local Plant Foldy and you might see me filming, or just kind of maybe potentially think that I am Grow Folds, feel free to approach me if you see me out and about plant shopping. I love talking to people. I love interacting with people, not only on the live premiere chats, but more so even in real life. I would say that I'm not necessarily shy. I am a person that I love to talk, but it's one of those things where when it comes to social media, I prefer to stay more so faceless on YouTube. Social media can be a really tricky thing, and there's just a level of anonymity that I would like to keep for now anyways. But as you can see here, we've got a bunch of cool looking small starter plants. This is a philodendron varicosum here. This one is for $19.99, so it is a little bit pricey, but that's the thing about certain plants. You just have to really balance what plants you're willing to pay the price for and what plants you're willing to wait on it. But this also is a nursery that has lots of different types of plants to choose from. You can see we got some Phalaenopsis orchids right here, but again, I was so surprised that I was able to meet a plant foldy. And you know, when I first met Steven out at Scape Supply, you know, him and I got to talk, and I didn't realize when he said that the impact that some of my plant shopping videos have had for people. I mean, I just didn't realize it. Like, Gloria, if you're watching this, I did not realize, based on what your son was telling me, that you really do watch my videos, and you even mentioned that you look forward to watching my videos every single day. That is a very humbling experience for me, just to know that, you know, people that I've actually met in real life actually enjoy my plant shopping videos, and I am grateful for that. That is the reason why, you know, most of my plant shopping videos, I don't really follow a script. It's literally just me talking and giving you guys my thoughts. I feel like more organic content versus very like edited, very scripted content is more of my type of content I want to produce, because I like this to be less intimidating and more of a very welcoming environment for people that love plants. But as you guys can see, I pulled out a bunch of different types of plants. Like this one is for $6.99 for a 4-inch croton. Now that's not bad for this croton Petra. So there are some plants that are a little bit more cost effective. And the thing about Callaway's Nursery is you are able to return plants for a refund if you're not satisfied with them, as long as you are part of their Garden Rewards membership. So just keep that in mind. I will say that I have returned a couple of plants, but the thing about it is, when I return a plant, I end up buying 3 more plants. So Callaway's Nursery never ever loses money from me. If anything, they end up gaining more money, because I just can't help myself. Like, I mean, look at this. This is another plant I'm tempted to want to buy. This is a Scindapsus Silver Ann for $16.99 in a 6-inch planter. You know, Scindapsus plants are just gorgeous ones for the silvery leaves. Now, this is an interesting plant. Take a look at this. This is a Neon Queen Pothos, or Epipremnum aureum Neon Queen. This one is for $6.99, and I actually was about to buy this, but since there's quite a bit of it, and I am not that far away from this. You know, I am based out in North Dallas, and this is literally only about a 10 to 15 minute drive from where I'm based at. I may end up coming back here. This is also known as the Variegated Neon Pothos. It's really interesting to see this, because for the longest time, this plant, this Epipremnum aureum, was actually quite expensive, and now you can buy it for $6.99. I do love the neon variegation on it. I mean, when you think about it, it almost looks like a golden pothos, but it's not. It is another different type of mutation in the variegation. Beautiful plant. I would assume that this particular plant, in order for it to really have that variegation or that neon queen pothos look, it is going to need a lot of bright indirect light. So that is another plant I'm going to add to my collection. And again, it is a quote basic plant, but you know, easy to care for plants like pothos, you can never have enough of it. I would recommend it. It is one that plant foldies, if you don't have it already, add it. Now here is a beautiful Epipremnum pinnatum Cebu Blue Pothos. Now my family is originally from the Philippines, and whenever you think about Epipremnum pinnatum, these are known as tibatib in the Philippines. They grow like weeds. They are everywhere, and it's just really interesting how a plant that is endemic to the Philippines is you know, sold as a tropical house plant that's grown indoors on the other side of the world. But again, these are plants that, you know, become popular. These are plants that are all over the world. You can see that these plants, for instance, all of these different types of ferns are sourced out from different parts of the world. This one I did find interesting. Now this one is a golden zebrina fern, or zebra fern, for $19.99. So it is a little bit more pricey, but look at how beautiful that variegation is. It does look like a zebra. I am a fan of this as well. You know, I am a fan of looking and admiring ferns, not necessarily taking care of them. And then I am always going to be a fan of this classic neon pothos for $6.99 in a 4-inch planter. Look at how beautiful that plant is. It's yellow, it's neon green. It is another plant that will definitely light up a space in a dark space in your home. It is, you know, low light tolerant, but if you give it lower light conditions, it's not going to be as neon yellow as it is there. And you can see here more croton petras, more different types of bamboo here. We can see here we've got a ficus, a variegated ficus triangularis, variegated form, $29.99. I do love this. This braided form is absolutely stunning. The bonsai that I made off of this is still doing very well. I am growing it outdoors, and I think with the ficus triangularis, they do better outdoors in bright indirect light. And you can see this is a gorgeous looking Golden Gate ficus bonsai. I really like how that particular trunk has been shaped. It's got that beautiful curve around it, and this one is an 8-year-old tree. So really interesting. You know, bonsai is another type of plant style of growing plants that I like. And then this one, look at this. I actually was tempted to almost buy this because of the high variegation. This is for $29.99. This is another ficus triangularis variegated plant. Look at how beautiful that is. It's highly variegated, and this is another plant that I'm just curious to see if the variegation is more so on the initial genetics, or if you give it enough light, because look at how white that is. Like, I really want to get it. And you already know that the white leaves don't really give the plant the ability to photosynthesize, which makes it a weaker plant. But I mean, you got to admit, everybody is a sucker for variegation. You know, I do talk about how I appreciate green plants, but for the most part, I think the majority of us plant collectors, or at least for me, I'm going to speak for me, variegation is just an interesting phenomenon when it comes to plants, because it is a natural mutation. It's not a naturally occurring thing in nature. So if you ever see like a variegated Monstera albo, you know, that is not something that would grow very well in the mother nature, just because it would be competing for light with other plants, and with the slower growth versus like a regular Monstera deliciosa, it just wouldn't do well long term. And then you can see over here, these are some desert rose plants. I do want to look at that. And then this one looks like it would be like variegated, but I don't know if it's just like a sickness. So plant foliage, let me know if this is like some type of sport variegation or some type of disease. That's the thing. Sometimes, you know, we see things that are like, quote, variegated, but then again, it could just be some type of virus disease on a plant. Beautiful philodendron, red imperial. This one is not a bad price at all for $29.99. And that's the thing I appreciate about Callaway's Nursery, is they do have large foliage plants for a very cost-effective pricing. Here is a beautiful Silver Bay Aglaonema. This one is for $39.99. Look at how large that is. Love that. It's one of my favorite plants. And then this is another Aglaonema White Rain. Beautiful plant again for $39.99. So I am not so much collecting a lot of Aglaonema at the very moment, but you know, whenever I go to Callaway's, like this one is an Aglaonema Silverado, I am almost tempted to go ahead and start buying more Aglaonemas. I just really have to get my plant room together. I want to do more plant content within my house. I was even thinking plant foldies, and let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in me actually doing like a live stream where I literally will talk to you guys. You guys can ask me questions. We can have like a live chat where I'm just sitting in my plant room and I'm just answering questions. I've seen a couple of YouTubers do that. So plant foldies, if I were to schedule one in advance, would you actually participate? Would you ask questions? Would we be able to do a chat? Please leave that in the comments, because again, your feedback is very important to me. I want to try to get you guys more content, but for me to get more content out that's a little bit different than my typical plant shopping videos, I need a little bit more feedback. So please let me know. And you can see all of these plants right here. So this Calathea makuyana is 50% off. I believe believe that was like $39.99. Now, you know, with calatheas, I love the look of them, but these ones have already started to have some browning on their leaves. Now, the next one right here is a Dracaena Riki. What an interesting looking Dracaena. It almost looks like a Dracaena marginata. It's just got more narrow leaves. It almost has like a palm-like quality about it, but the cool thing is it is low light tolerant. But as I pan away from here, there's just quite a bit of plants for a space that's not that large. You know, there's some Callaway's nurseries that are extremely large, but you know what? This particular Callaway's nursery again has quite a bit of plants to where you can still go plant shopping and get the plants you need. Like they have all of the essential classic plants. You know, you've got your Monstera deliciosa, you've got your Aglaonema, and actually I wanted to buy this Aglaonema. This is an Aglaonema Romeo, and this one is, I believe, for $49.99. Now it is a huge one, and I can understand why it's a little bit pricey because Aglaonema are extremely slow growing plants. Now this would have taken quite a bit of time for them to grow, and there's just several Aglaonema Romeos in there. Now there is an actual Aglaonema Juliet as well, which looks like the Romeo but has smaller, narrower leaves. And then you can see in the corner right over there, we've got some Ficus lyrata, we've got some Dracaena machangiana, and we've got some beautiful minimalistic planters, large ones actually. That is really my cup of tea when it comes to, you know, the plant aesthetic or my plant the planters I like. And then I did want to show you this again and just recommend this for those that really want to have a good boost on plants. If you're ever repotting a plant or even growing plants and need them to give a little boost, Super Thrive is amazing. It really does work. It at least works for me. And you can see right here, this is a beautiful Dracaena Dorado. It also almost looks like a Dracaena Hurricane. Now for my plant folies out in Canada, I wish that the Dracaena Hurricane would make it to you guys because it is a beautiful plant. Now I'm going to walk over here and show you this right here. This is a beautiful Sansevieria starfish. This one is for $39.99. It is probably the easier Sansevieria to take care of. It actually thrives in neglect versus the Sansevieria trifasciata, or the typical one right over here. These are easy to care for plants, but can also be a little finicky with the watering. Now you don't want to overwater a snake plant because it is more so of a type of a succulent. And you can see we've got some cactus right over here. Again, I am not so familiar with cactus. I'm not as versed with cactus or succulent, but I did want to walk around here and just see what else we have. This isn't going to be a really extensive Callaway's nursery shopping video. I was just curious to see, since I was on my way to another big box store and this happened to be on the way. I haven't been at this location in a while, but you can see right here, this is another Alocasia poly. This one is for $13.99 in a 4-inch planter. This one is an Alocasia though that unfortunately is a little bit more spider mite prone as compared to the other Alocasia. So that is a no-go for me. And then we've got a bunch of bromeliads right over here. I do like the look of bromeliads. These ones look like they had gotten some like pink spray painted on them. And then we're just going to keep walking over here. Lots of plants. This section right here, these are Caladiums. You already know I love me some Caladiums. I always say Caladiums are the more colorful version of an Alocasia. This one is for $7.99, but the cool thing is, and I already know I was going to get myself in trouble, these are all Caladiums. All Caladiums, at least today when I was filming this, were 30% off at Callaway. So you already know I was going to pick up a couple of Caladiums. This one is for $7.99 as well. Beautiful white foliage. Now with Caladiums, they definitely need to be in a more shaded area. They need protection from the hot afternoon sun. They do like bright indirect light, so if they're able to be grown in an area where it's east facing, they will do very well. And you know, Caladiums, they just have so many beautiful varieties. They're absolutely beautiful. Like this one right here, I'm gonna go buy this strap leaf Caladium. And the thing about it is, this one's labeled as an in and out Caladium, so basically you can grow Caladiums indoors. I am gonna try to grow grow one indoors exclusively, so we'll see about that. And then I'm just gonna walk over here and just show you guys some of the outdoor portion of this Callaway's nursery. Again, they have Coleus plants. You already know that these are, wow, these are only 30% off, and these are the sun Coleus right over here. Look at how beautiful that is. Now, if you are a plant foldie and have been watching my videos, I'm gonna ask, have you gotten yourself a Coleus plant? Have I been able to influence you to get a Coleus plant? Because I have had some luck with you guys getting into them. I know some people will be like, this is just a basic plant, it's more of an outdoor plant, but trust me, they will give you a lot of joy because they're so easy to take care of. Same thing with that Tradescantia velvet. That was an easy one. And we have some Sabrinas right here, some Tradescantia Sabrinas. These are all for $2.49. And you can see they got some proven winners. Caladiums right here. I believe these are 50% off as well. So, you know, Callaway's nursery, they are coming up with a lot of sales. And you can see this is a purple Persian shield. Really like the look of that one as well. I will say, as I was filming this video, it was extremely hot. Like, the weather in Texas is almost unbearable at this point, and that is only the drawback about living in Texas this summer. It's just brutal. You can see right here, we've got some Alton and Thera. These are the Brazilian red hots. I ended up getting one of these as well, and it's growing out in full sun. I will say that this is a plant though that does get dehydrated very easily. So I have now had to water my Coleus plants and all of my other plants at least twice a day, in the morning before I leave work, and definitely in the afternoon when I get home from work. It's just the sun and just the heat is already becoming intense. I do love this particular Coleus plant as well. I have that one, and this is for $12.99. So again, plant foldies, if you're not into Coleus plants, at least get yourself a starter one. They are easy to take care of. They're plants that you can definitely just grow in your plant collection. So you'll definitely have to just take a look at that. And you can see right over here, we've got some more plants. We got some tropical hibiscus plants here. We've got some variegated bougainvillea. Really like that as well. That is another plant that I wish could grow past the winter, but you know, that is a plant that you would have to grow in a container and overwinter it in order for it to really survive. It will not be a plant that's considered a perennial. And plant foldies, I really hope you guys have enjoyed this installment of plants right here. You know, I'd like to do big box store plant shopping, but I also like to feature local plant nurseries like Callaway. So plant foldies, I'll see you on the next one.